Okay, so now you know what not to cook in your Instant Pot. Let's talk about what you can cook in your Instant Pot and what's gonna make you fall in love with your Instant Pot even more. So remember, you want to ask yourself, does this benefit from moist heat? Is this a dish that requires a lengthy amount of time for cooking? The sauce does not need reduced and is not breaded. If you've said yes to those things, then chances are it's going to be fabulous in your Instant Pot. But it's really, really overwhelming to know, okay, I want to make my family's pot roast in the Instant Pot. I have no idea how to go about doing that. Well, I've provided you some cooking charts to kind of help break down, like if your recipe took this long in your slow cooker, you're gonna wanna cook it this long in your pressure cooker. If it took this long on the stove, you're gonna wanna cook it this long in your pressure cooker. You can tell by these formulas that I used to be a math teacher, and math is near and dear to my heart. I loved coming up calculating the times for you. It was a simple algebraic problem that it just made me feel like a teacher again. But don't worry, if you don't like math, I've broken it out for you so you don't even have to think about these formulas that I give you. Typically for recipes that cook on the stove, you're gonna cut the time by 2/3. And for slow cooker, you're gonna take the number of minutes and divide it by 10. And so it's a little bit tricky, and there's a few little tips and tricks that are a little different about that, but again, I give you charts to break it down. One of the first things that I made in my Instant Pot was my family's pot roast. And it was one of those things where my husband had said, I'm really craving pot roast right now. And I had a frozen pot roast, so I was like, well, I can make it later in the week. But then I was like, ooh, see, this is when my Instant Pot was new, and I thought, I'm just gonna go ahead and try it. And that's what I encourage you guys to do, is to try it. I have been trying recipes for almost 2 years now in my Instant Pot, and I have given you formulas so that you're not left where I was 2 years ago, like, how in the world am I gonna do this? I really just guessed. Sometimes I got it right, sometimes I got it really, really wrong. And I don't want you guys to get it really, really wrong, because I hate, and I mean hate, food waste. But after I got the Instant Pot roast right, oh my goodness, it has changed cooking dinner. Like, I am able to throw in a frozen chuck roast, and in less than 2 hours, dinner is ready, which is incredible. I would never throw a frozen pot roast into my slow cooker, and my slow cooker, even with a fresh pot roast, would take all day. So it's great for dishes like that speed up. Remember, you always need 1 cup of liquid. Always, 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 always. I don't care if you're using the mini, the 6-quart, or the 8-quart. You need a cup of liquid if you want to have superior results. You might achieve success with a half a cup, but you're gambling. And I don't want you to gamble with food. I want you to have something that you love and that you don't regret making in your pressure cooker. So ask yourself, do you have at least 1 cup of liquid? Is it something that benefits from slow cooking and moist heat? And then go ahead and play with my time charts. And what the worst that can happen is you take the lid off and you're like, you go to prick the meat and it's not done. Don't panic. Put the lid back on. See, even experts struggle with this lid sometimes. Put the lid back on, and then hit manual, high pressure, and depending on the recipe, you're gonna adjust it for 2 more minutes to 10 more minutes. If it's like a tough pot roast, I would let it go for 10 more minutes on high pressure. If it was like a potato that just wasn't quite done, I would start with 2-minute intervals. And don't worry, once your pressure cooker has come to pressure the first time, it does not take as long the second time to come to pressure. Okay, so I'm so excited. I want you guys to email me some of your favorite family recipes that you've tried in the Instant Pot once you've done it and you've had success. Another thing that I suggest doing is keeping a notebook and just writing down notes. Like any of your family recipes, put a sticky note next to it and say, I tried this in the Instant Pot. I cooked it for 60 minutes. It was awesome. So that next time you go to make it, you're not like, was it 60 minutes or did it need to be 70 minutes? I can't remember. So that's something too to write down. Another thing to remember is if it's a soup, you might want to decrease the liquid. No liquid is lost in the pressure cooker. So if it's a soup that simmers all day on your stove, you might want to cut down the liquid by up to a cup because, again, it's not going to lose that moisture as it cooks. Slow cooker recipes are already adjusted because they don't lose much liquid as they cook. They shouldn't really lose much at all. So your slow cooker recipes, you don't need to make any changes in the amount, the quality. And the final thing that I want you to think about is, should it be quick release or natural pressure release? And I tell you in the charts, should you try natural pressure release or quick release with this? Remember, quick release is for tender cuts of vegetables like chicken breast maybe. Chicken breast you want to have at least a 5-minute release, a natural pressure release before you do a quick release. But things that can overcook easily, pasta, for example, is quick release. I mean, natural pressure release is for soups, things with a lot of liquid, things with tough cuts of meat that really need to tenderize. We've all watched Chopped, where we've seen them cut their meat before they rest it. That's essentially what you're doing when you try to do a quick release on a tough cut of meat, is that you're not letting that meat rest. You're not letting all those juices distribute back in the meat, and so it gets really tough if you try to do a quick release with it. So again, I can't wait to see your success. I can't wait to see what recipes from your family that you make in your Instant Pot, and I hope that these charts help guide you so that you know exactly what to do. You can kind of have a great starting point. You may decide to up it 5 minutes or decrease the time by 5 minutes, but these times are pretty close to what you're going to find for success in your kitchen.